All right, welcome everyone to the Expect an Abundance webinar, and you are here for 2 straight hours and a real treat. How many of you came with an expectation of what you're going to get while you're here with us during this 2-hour period of time? How many of you already have an idea of what to expect while we're here? Type in the chat box on the right-hand side. By the way, we have set it that the chat box can only be viewed by the hosts and the co-hosts, I believe. Roddy, can you see the chat box as well and the comments that are in there? Can you see it? Yes? Okay, good. And also, we have a workbook for you today. And we quite often do a workbook for our seminars. And this time I did a little bit differently. And what I've done is I've added all of my slides to the workbook because I've had people ask me after I've delivered events, could I have your slides? Could I have your slides? You can have them for your own information, but please don't reuse them. I created them. They're mine. And I'd prefer if you would just, use them perhaps for your own notes and for things like that. But today we're going to be talking about you for the next 2 hours. And the idea is to help you create more in your life, to help you manifest with greater ease, to help you understand how powerful you are, and to help you manifest faster if that's something that you would love. And so I have a presentation ready for you. As Roddy said, we will be doing some Q&A at a point during our time here together. And I would happily take your questions when you have them. And you can type them in the chat box, and I'll do my best to get to them either a little bit later, or if it makes sense while I am teaching, then I will absolutely address them. So as the questions come to you, write them down. You may find that a little bit later in the presentation that the question has been addressed. And if so, that's great. What we're going to be doing during this time is I'm going to be delivering you the understanding and the concepts of how you can create more abundance in your life. And we're not just talking about money. We're talking about an abundance of anything that you desire, whether it's abundance of greater health, an abundance of more friends, of more adventures and experiences, whether it's an abundance of more clients, if that's what you'd love to have in your business, whether it is an abundance of money in some way, we are definitely going to be addressing that as well. So really, abundance covers a wide range of topics. But the idea behind this event, as Roddy had mentioned before we started, was inspired when during one of our Club Achieve study groups, we were studying my friend, my mentor, Bob Proctor's book, You Were Born Rich. And he included a chapter on expect an abundance. And that's really what prompted the title and the content for today. Now, how many of you have never, ever been on a webinar of mine ever? Just type in the chat box. I know we saw Wendy. This is the first time that Wendy's here. I saw another individual had said it was their first time that they're here as well. Okay, so we do have some first timers. I did see, all right, great. Okay, super, super first time. Eddie, Ethna, excellent, wonderful. Joanne, first time. Okay, great. Well, you're here for a treat. I've been studying personal development since January 1979. And oh, it's Paula's birthday. Happy birthday, Paula. Happy to have you here. I started studying personal development in January 1979, and I've never stopped. And the reason why I never stopped is because my life just keeps getting better and better and better. And that, frankly, is the way that I've chosen it to be. Now, how many of you would like your life to get better and better and stay getting better and better and better? Type in the chat box if you would love to have your life getting better and better and better and staying better and better and better. Now, this may seem like a silly question, but the fact that you answer absolutely shows the universe you're serious about this. Yes. Okay, good. Good. All right. I'm seeing Annie's here. Good to have you back, Annie. Love to serve you. Wonderful. Jackie G's here from New Zealand. It's probably the middle of the night for her, but she sets her opportunity clock and gets up and she gets on the calls. You see, by saying yes to that question, what you're doing is you're creating an opening. You're opening to receive. And this is an important part of expectations. And we'll be diving into that in great detail today. You know, I remember one of the things that Bob Proctor, my mentor, used to say, and it was a fun thing to say, but yet there's a lot of truth to it as well. And here's what Bob would say. He would say, if I could take all this knowledge and if I could put it in a syringe and stick it in your ass and inject it in you and you would have it, I would do it. And the truth is, I understand that. I get that. But there's a very important reason and understanding as to why you may still be struggling if that's what you're experiencing in your life, or a reason why you may be going through some challenging times. And I am definitely here, me and my team are definitely here to help you with that. So the word expectation, if we look at it from the dictionary point of view, really means an act of expecting. Right? Are you expecting to have a good time? Do you go to a party and expect to have a good time? Do you go on a trip and expect to have a good time? Or do you wake up in the morning and expect that it's going to be a crappy day? You're going to go to work and you're expecting that the person that you're working with, the one that really sets you off, is going to be setting you off again. See, expectations show up in every single part of our life. But what I want to do is help you to set yourself up so that the expectations that you have are only in harmony with what you desire, that they're only there to serve you and to guide you. I think about when Vladdy was talking about expectations. Sometimes people have expectations, but they're not aligned. It's like they're sabotaging their results. We'll talk about that as well. And as soon as she mentioned that before we started the call, I was thinking, when somebody has an expectation, but yet they're not aligned, there's this harmony. They're not going to attract it into their life. You have to be in harmony. It doesn't mean you won't be out of harmony. Everybody gets out of harmony, but the predominant way of being, your way of being, must be in a positive state of expectation. And if it's not that way right now, it can be that way. And it can be that way by you choosing for it to be that way. You see, we're all given the choice. We're all given choices. So where do your expectations show up in your life? Expectations show up in your decision-making. They show up in your daily life, the way you wake up in the morning, how you conduct yourself all day long. They show up in the things that you're creating or the things that you're destroying, because we're both creative and we are destructive. They show up in your finances. Think about this. This is a good one. This popped into my consciousness just before we got on the call. Like, how many of you are at a point where you would love to have more money in your life, but you're not really expecting it? Just be honest. Now, the only ones seeing your answers are the hosts and the co-hosts. Just be honest. Type in the chat box if you'd love to have more money, but you're not really expecting that it's going to come to you. Just be honest. Yes. Okay. Good. 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 Right. Okay. Well, that does impact you. And I'm going to show you how to turn that around. Okay. How many of you would love to have that turned around? How many would love to have that turned around? See, that's important. It may seem like the silliest question, but that is an important part of it. Now, I noticed in one of the answers, I won't point out names because, as I said, it was confidential, but I noticed in one of the answers from one of the individuals that here, when I asked that question, the question was like, would you love more money, but you're not expecting it? And one of the answers was, sadly, I think that's my mindset. Now, the individual that said that knows who they are. And as I said, I'm not going to point it out, but I love the honest answer. Now, what I love about that is that it's important to recognize, what's going on within you. If there's a feeling of sadly, that is a judgmental. Does sadness produce good results or positive results? No, it won't produce positive results. What if you looked at that scenario and you got excited about it? Because now you have the awareness. Could you look at your scenario where you don't have all the money that you want, but you want more, but you're not expecting more, and say, you know what? I feel good that I am aware that that is there. I'm aware that that is there. One of the first things that I learned when I first went to my Bob Proctor seminar in January 1979 is that you cannot escape from a prison unless you know you're in one. We all create these prisons of our own making. It's not intentional. It's not that we want to struggle. It's not that we don't want to have no money. That's not it at all. It's because the patterns, it's the conditioning that we've already established in our lives. But the great news is that you can change it. You can change it, and it can be done relatively quickly, and it can be done relatively simply. But what it's going to take is a commitment, and it's definitely going to take discipline, and not discipline for a short period of time. We're talking about discipline for the rest of your life, the rest of your life. So your expectations as of up to the moment that you came on this webinar today are already set. They're based on what your beliefs are, but I'm going to help you change them. I'm going to help you open your mind, open your consciousness to new ideas that will have you creating much better results. And I know that's what you want. I don't need to ask the question. I know that is what you want to experience in your life. Now, negative expectations sometimes reveal themselves with comments like this. And some of these words may have come out of your own mouth or something like it. Someone who says, oh, I'm not looking forward to it. You know, they're going somewhere or something's coming up. They're like, well, I'm not looking forward to it. Or this is going to be awful. Or I hate the idea of this. Or next month or next year, it's going to be a struggle. Or relationships equal massive pain. I'll give an example of this recently. I have a relative who lives in Arizona. And this relative hasn't been up to Canada for quite some time, for a few years. And their intention is to come up to Canada during 2024 and visit some of the relatives that are up here. And I noticed in a group chat that was established on Facebook that this individual wrote that they are expecting to lose their job or change their job, not expecting to have the funds to do the trip the way they want to in the fall. We're talking about months later. They're already expecting they're going to be struggling. They're expecting they're going to be struggling. What is likely going to happen for that individual? What's likely going to happen? They're going to struggle, right? Could they turn that around? Absolutely. But they have to want to. They have to make the decision that they're going to turn that around. Or here's another one that can be common for people that have been in relationships that didn't work out. Relationships equal massive pain. They expect that if they get into a relationship, that something's going to happen, the relationship's going to unravel, or the person's not going to be good to them or treat them the way they would love to be treated. And that's what they think, that's what they expect, and that is exactly what they get. Now let's look at the opposite of that, positive expectations. You're going on a cruise as an example, and you've just decided you're expecting this cruise is going to be a cruise of a lifetime. Our lovely Vladdy that works on the team of Dynamic Destinies went on a trip last weekend and did something that she had been, wanting to do for many, many years. And she sent me a text saying that she was expecting it to be a trip of her lifetime or an experience of her lifetime. That's an example of a positive expectation. Or you bought a new home and you know it's going to be magical and incredible, and our new home is going to be a magical environment, right? Think about the difference the experience is going to be when you set yourself up for good expectations. So what's the lesson in this? Notice what you're saying. Notice the words that are coming out of your mouth. Are you speaking positively about something? Are you looking forward to maybe that date or a meeting of some kind? Or next year, you're going to be swimming in money, like just expecting that it's going to be that way. And you're seeing only success in your future and you're embracing it fully. Or you're expecting to get a positive response by somebody. Or you're expecting to be completely healed and feel vibrantly alive. Like all of these ideas, whatever is going on in your life, whatever it is that you're going through right now, you can expect it to change. Now, you may be sitting there and thinking, oh, is that all I have to do is just expect that my finances are going to get better, or that business is going to turn around, or expect that I'm going to find that dream home and be able to buy it with ease? Yes, I am. Now, there's more to it, but this is absolutely a great way to start. So how do you apply this understanding of lifting your expectations, being in the spirit or the joyous expectancy of the best? Well, you got to decide. You have to decide, what would I love? What would I love? It's a great question. It's an absolutely beautiful question. What would you love to do? What would you love to be? What would you love to have? What would you love to experience? What would you love to create? Now, what's interesting is when you think about that question, I know we've got a number of people here that haven't been on any of my webinars before. This is not an uncommon understanding to get to this. It's a great place to start with deciding what you would love. But understand this, when you start to think about what you would love, your old belief system, your old conditioning is going to try and hold you back. So the moment you start thinking, well, what I would love is to be earning a certain amount of money. I'll give you a great example of this. This morning, we had an application come in for private mentoring, and someone was applying to work with me in a private mentoring capacity. And we've got a couple of different ways that can be delivered. One is through something that we have available in person. Another one is all through online. It's still one-on-one. So we've got a couple of different opportunities there. So this individual filled in a questionnaire because it's kind of like an application process. We want to know a lot about you. We want to find out what your desires are, and then we'll see if it's a good fit. And during this application, I read it. It came in and it landed in my inbox. It landed in Roddy's inbox and Kayla's inbox as well, maybe Vladdy's too. And I read it and I noticed this. This is what I noticed. And I was thinking about you guys, and I was thinking about our event that we're doing here today. The question was asked, what is your current income? And this individual's current income was in a category of $0 to $50,000. So they could be earning $1,000 a year. They could be earning $49,000, but they're somewhere in that ballpark of $0 a year. They could be earning $0 a year to $50,000 a year. Then the next question that is asked of them is, what would you love to be earning? What would you love to be earning? And the answer there was $1 million. So I want to ask you, is there a wide difference between those two numbers? Is there a wide difference? Just type in the chat box for a moment. Is there a wide difference between those two numbers? Somebody's already, yeah, of course. Of course. So what happens is, what happens is this, and I want to explain this because my belief is this. Could this individual go from, let me ask you this, okay? First, before I answer this question, could this individual go from earning $0 to $50,000 a year to $1 million a year? Could that individual do that? Yes or no? Just a yes or no answer. Yes. Oh, somebody said unlikely. Okay, interesting. I see a money paradigm there. It's not a judgment. It's great to have the awareness. Valine says, yes, if they expect it. Yes, Ria says, you have to believe it. That's right. It's all in your thinking, Cheryl says, yes. Absolutely. Oh, wonderful, Melissa. Well, we're happy to have you here. Yes, it's possible, says Aunt Tootie. Definitely it's possible to go from earning $0 to $50,000 a year to earning $1 million a year. One of my favorite quotes of all time is a quote by Napoleon Hill, and it goes like this. No more effort is required to aim high in life, to demand prosperity and abundance than is required to accept misery and poverty. See, the truth is, when you're vibrating or energetically, emotionally expressing your feelings at a level that you're not happy with, so you're at you're earning money that you're not happy with, but the desire is to earn a lot more money. Well, the responsibility is for the individual that wants to earn money is they have to get in what's called vibrational harmony or alignment with believing that they already are earning that kind of money and they'll attract it to them. Simple, 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 right? The reason why it's so challenging is what we're going to be talking about today. And we're going to talk about how to overcome that. But whether someone is earning, let's say, $0 to $50,000 and they want to go to, okay, they're at $0 to $50,000, they want to go to $100,000. Not a lot more, it's double, but it's not really a lot more. Could they do that? Sure. They just get in harmony with believing that they're earning 100,000. Could they have easily gone to imagining that they're earning $1 million? Yes. But if your belief is that it's difficult, what will it be for you? Difficult, right? If you think it's hard or you think it's easy, you are right. Now, that's a very simple statement. But if we unravel it, what we'll discover is there is a belief within you. And quite often it's a very strong belief. Now, can you change it in an instant? You can decide to change it in an instant. Can you feel very differently in an instant? Definitely you can feel very differently. Can I immediately feel as if I'm earning $1 million a year right now and get in harmony with that? Absolutely, you could do that right now. Will it impact your earnings? Only when you are staying in harmony with what you desire. See, before we got on the call today, I was early. I was ready for the call, nice and early. And I picked up one of my favorite books, Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard. This is a very short book. It takes about 45 minutes to read. And I just picked it up and I opened it to a page, and I have a lot of pages in his book that are highlighted and dog-eared, and there's a lot of great wealth of information in this book. It's one of my favorites and one of my go-tos. And so I picked it up and I just opened it to a page and I read this. Here's what I read. Your dreams take form as you assume the feeling of their reality. So what did I just say? We're here. This is, the goal is here. You have to get in harmony with it. $1 million a year. You get in harmony with it. You're feeling as if you're already there. What did he say? Your dreams take form as soon as you assume the feeling of the reality. How do you assume the feeling of reality? You play with your imagination. You just say to yourself, okay, now that I'm earning $1 million a year, how does that feel? Right? How does that feel? So when you ask the question, if this is the person, that their desire is earning $1 million a year. Now that I'm earning $1 million a year, how do I feel? And they're thinking about it and they're feeling it in their heart. They're aligned, right? What's happening? It's taking reality. It's taking shape. It's taking shape. Your dreams take form as soon as you assume the reality. Then he goes on to say, do not limit yourself to the past. This is the best lesson you can learn. Don't worry about what you've earned in the past or what your education is or where you come from or what you know, what you don't know. Would you love that? That's what you have to ask yourself. Would I love that? And then the two questions after that is, am I willing and am I able? Am I willing and am I able? If you're a thinking person, you're able. It's are you willing? Because you're going to need to discipline yourself. So do not limit yourself to the past. Forget the past. Forget the past. You could use this idea, this technique to manifest 10 million a year. It's the same process. It's exactly the same process. Same process. So knowing that nothing is impossible to consciousness, because nothing is impossible except within the realms of nature, knowing that nothing is impossible to consciousness, begin to imagine states beyond the experiences of the past. So what does that really mean? Okay, if you never earned $1 million in your life a year as your annual income or more, then you haven't had that experience in the past, right? But could you have it here? Could you have it here in consciousness? Of course you could have that in consciousness. So you begin to imagine, what would that be like? You could imagine that, right? Yes. Type in the chat box. Yes, you could imagine that. Everybody could imagine that. If you have a thinking mind, you could definitely imagine that. So whatever the mind of man can imagine, man can realize. There we go. Yes, thank you. Whatever the mind of man can imagine, he will turn into reality. So it says all objective, that's the visible. That's what we see, right? All objective states were first subjective, invisible states, and you called them into visible states by assuming the feeling of their reality. You call it in. You call it in. What do you want to call into your life? More money, more joy, more things, better health, greater relationships. What do you want to call in? You call it in. You ask. Most people don't even bother asking because they're already thinking they can't do it. That's limited way of thinking. The creative process is first imagining, starting here, and then believing it, bringing it in your heart, and then the state that's imagined. And always imagine and expect the best. Always imagined and expect the best. It's consistent. You have to be doing this time and time again. Here's another one of my favorite books, The Secret of the Ages by Robert Collier. Robert Collier says this, it's not enough to know that you have this power, because you all do. Everyone here, everyone that's watching, everyone that's on here live, you all have this power. Every single one of you, it doesn't matter who you are, where you are. You all have the same power that I have. You all have this power. You must put it into practice, not once or twice, but every hour and every day. Every hour and every day. You see, what happens for people who get into the study and they're serious students of the material, and I've seen them, and I've been that. I am a serious student of the materials. But there's a difference between being a serious student and someone who's applying the materials. Wide difference, big difference between that. It's not enough to know. It's not enough to know what you have to do. You have to be actively in it, but not judging yourself. It's not sadly, it's wonderfully. because you're an evolving being. We're all evolving beings, and everything in your life can get better. And I have been put on this earth to help you do that. That's my purpose. That's why I decided that was my purpose back in the 90s when I incorporated my company in 1994. We're going to be having a big celebration this year. It's the 30th year of Dynamic Destinies. And that's what I'm here to do. I want to help you. If I could come through that screen and help you or shake you and go, you can have so much more than what you're experiencing now. Just grab a hold of it. Expect it. Thank you. Expect to have better results in your life. Now let's go back to our PowerPoint presentation here. So you have to know what you want. You have to know what you want. You have to decide what you would love to do, be, have, experience, and create. And the only answer to that question is, without the limitations, what would I love? What would I love? And get very clear on what that is. And I suggest you take the time to do that. And then to manifest your desires, you have to live in the joyous expectancy of the best. Live in the joyous expectancy of the abundance. It's like when I started dating Denis 19 years ago, it was February 2004, and we're standing in my kitchen, and he says to me, so you're an entrepreneur? It's like, yes. Well, what happens when you're not earning money? I'm always earning money. I'm a money earning machine. You see, I created that as my identity. Did I expect to earn money? Yes. Do I expect to earn money? Yes. And if that's not happening, I'm going to find a way to earn money, right? Think about, there's such a simplistic explanation, and you've probably heard it time and time again about the thermostat, right? You set a thermostat at a certain temperature, and if it gets cold in the room and you want it to be a higher temperature, well, the furnace kicks in, and the furnace kicks in and puts you right back on track. That's called a servo mechanism. That's what a thermostat is. It locks on track, and even though it may deviate, the temperature may deviate, it will do whatever it needs to do. Air conditioners go on, or the furnace goes on, or whatever, put you right back to that point. And that's the way I'm wired. I wired myself. I conditioned myself that I'm a money earning machine. You can condition yourself and build that belief. It's going to take some time though, but you can do it by affirming and affirming and affirming again, but feeling it in your heart. It's not enough to just say the words. It's not enough to do the practices, to do the journal exercises. You've got to feel it, genuinely feel it. And what this is a game. It's a game you're playing. It's a game of life. It's a game of success, but that's what's required. And it's a fun game. It's an enjoyable game. It's a beneficial game. It's a game that you will win. You'll win every single time. But why is it that not everybody plays the game or plays it well? I think it's sometimes ignorance. They're simply not aware that their belief system is not set up that there is even a game to play. They think that that's their destiny, that they are destined to struggle, that because their parents struggled, or because of the economy, or because of where they live, or whatever. I mean, they've got lots of reasons, and they will justify it, and they will fight for their belief because that's what they believe. But could you change the belief? Could you create a new belief? Could you grab onto a whole new idea and change the way you've been thinking? Of course you can, but it's going to take the discipline to do it. So, like at some point in your life, and I know I was there, like when I think back to 1979, when I was dragged to a Bob Proctor seminar, I didn't want to go there. And I went to the seminar, I was completely lost. But I was lost thinking that was my fate. I really thought it was my fate to struggle. I thought it was my fate to live in misery. And I don't know if you've ever felt that. It is not a fun place to be. It is not an enjoyable experience. It felt awful. It was suffering inside. And I don't think always people can see the pain that people are feeling, but I was feeling an enormous amount of pain. I didn't even have a will to live, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't have the awareness. It's like there was a blindness that was there that I couldn't even see the way out, even if there was somebody there to grab me by the hand and take me by the hand. But fortunately, I found myself in a Bob Proctor seminar, and that man woke me up, and he said, if you want your life to change, you must change. If you want your life to change, you must change. And I thought, okay, I realized that this man knew a lot more than I knew about success and creating better results in my life. So I decided to invest in myself. And I signed up for his seminars and went back again and again and again. And that was over 45 years ago. And I've never stopped, and I have no intention to stop. And the reason is because it constantly expands my awareness. I'm constantly feeding and fueling positive beliefs that serve. That's what you want to be doing. You want to have this become your daily way of being, and there's no other way. But there may be a time, I felt this years ago, where you just feel like giving up and there's no hope. I'm going to be bringing on a speaker as a guest speaker who is a wonderful woman. She's become a very dear and close friend of mine. She was a client. I served her. She went through some challenges in her life too. And I know, like, she can relate to this too. I certainly can. And maybe many of you can relate to this. Maybe you're even feeling it now, that you feel like giving up and there's no hope for you. Well, there is hope. Even if it's just a little tiny opening, I want you to just grab a hold of that. We can help you change your results. And that's what we're here for, is to help you change your results. But there's hope. I know I didn't feel like it at some point. And I went to a park one day. I wrote about it in my book series, the trilogy Savvy Wisdom, where I sat on a park bench and I was there because I wanted to end my life. I had decided that life wasn't worth living. I think that's probably pretty much as low as you can go. Maybe lower is to actually execute the fact and exit this, worldly stage, but I didn't do that. And I'm glad I didn't do that. But you know what it provides for me, that pain that I went through when I was younger? Compassion. It provides understanding. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to go through challenging times. And you know what? Everybody goes through them. Doesn't matter who you are. Everyone's going to experience the challenging times. I've experienced them too. And even though I'm a student and a teacher of the materials, I have experienced the challenging times as well. So sometimes we feel like we're doing the things to improve our lives, perhaps watching the seminars or going to the webinars, reading the books, listening to audios, maybe even creating some better disciplines, but yet success is still eluding you. Now, there's one of two reasons why that's happening. There's one of two reasons. Now, can anyone relate to this, where you feel like you've tried lots of things and you're not getting the results that you want? Can anyone relate to that? Remember, we're the only ones that see your results. Just the hosts see your results. Can you guys relate to that? Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate your honest answers. Okay. There's one of two reasons why it may be eluding you. Okay. Would you like to know what those two reasons are? Okay. All right. The one reason is this: you haven't been in harmony with your goal. That could be one of the reasons, consistently. So earlier I mentioned you have an objective, you have to get in alignment with it, which means you're thinking and feeling as if that goal is in your life right now. That's it. You do that, absolutely guaranteed. It's absolutely guaranteed you will manifest it. So there's that. And if you haven't been experiencing this success, you may not be expressing the predominant way of being as aligned. Okay, so you can get better at that. That's okay. Another reason why you may not yet be experiencing the success that you desire, and by the way, it's usually the first one is the answer, but another reason, number two, is because of the gestation period. And the gestation period means that there will be a period of time that will elapse before all things manifest into form, because all of your thoughts are like seeds. You plant the seed of the idea. So if you're on this webinar as an example, and you're hearing me give the example of the income goal that individual had that applied for private mentoring, and the income goal was $1 million per year, and you're thinking, yes, I would love to have that. And you decided that you're going to own that. You're somebody who's earning in that area in the 7 figures. You're a 7-figure income earner. You're earning over $1 million each and every year consistently, and you love that that is your life. But yet you finish your year and you look at your record of earnings, and you see that you only earned $453,000 or you earned 182,000, or you earned 985,000. You're not there yet. Do you just give up? No, you don't give up. Even if you had only earned 50,000, you don't give up. If that is what you want, you stay in harmony with that goal. This is how you set yourself up for an expectation, a positive expectation, and you will do it. You will land right on time. Now, here's the most valuable lesson that I ever learned in the 45 plus years that I've been studying this. You do not have to know how. You do not have to know how. So if your objective is to be earning a certain amount of money, and we'll use the example of that woman earlier who had the goal to earn $1 million a year, if that's the objective, you don't have to know how you're going to do it. Because what will happen for somebody is that they're thinking, okay, I'd love to earn $1 million a year or over $1 million. I'm listening to what Peggy's saying, and yep, that would be fantastic. But yet they're in a job that is a salary. And they're thinking, how am I going to earn $1 million when my salary is this? Or how am I going to earn $1 million when I don't have any money to invest, right? They start looking for all the reasons why they won't. Is that going to help? Not at all. You see, you don't have to look for the reason why you won't. You have to get in harmony with that event as if it's already done. So were you to be earning the kind of money that you would love to be earning, what's going on in your life? What's going on? In fact, our speaker who's coming on in a little while had written a book about this, where she talked about prosperity consciousness. You imagine yourself already earning the kind of money that you would love to be earning. You imagine it. You feel it every day, even though you may look at your bank account and, as Neville Goddard says, deny the evidence of the senses. You do not remain emotionally involved in your undesirable results, and you cannot expect to produce better results when you're staying emotionally involved in your undesirable results. It does not work. But it will work, and it works for everyone. So there's this gestation period of time that you have to understand and respect. You plant the seed, it will grow. We don't know how long it's going to take, but it will grow. Now, what will make it grow better is when you continue to remain in harmony with what you desire. And as Robert Collier said in Secret of the Ages, every hour of every day, every hour of every day, every hour of every day. Just imagine if you were in harmony with what you desired every hour of every day. It's magical, absolutely magical what you will create. So I really want to encourage you to set those stretch goals, to get emotionally involved with whatever it is that you would love, feeling and knowing that it is in your life, and it will happen. As Bob Proctor used to say, surely as it's going to get dark tonight. A more important question, if I could show you how to get unblocked and become someone who consistently manifests your dreams into reality, would you be interested? Answer in the chat box. If I could show you how to get unblocked. Now, when we say unblocked, everyone's blocked to some degree. We're all in our own way. Everybody's in their own way. We are our problem. We're also our solution. So that's good. Okay, good. All right, excellent. I would expect that everyone that's on this webinar right now would be saying absolutely. And why wouldn't they? And even when we think about the question here of blocked, of being blocked, get unblocked, you know, everyone's blocked to some degree. Some might be blocked a little bit more than others are blocked. And if so, that's okay. It's not a judgment here. There's no judgment. It's just awareness. We're all about awareness, having the awareness of noticing. And then I would suggest get excited. If you're feeling blocked for whatever reason, get excited because there's a desire within you. It's very natural to change it. Very, very natural. But as a kid, we have desires. We're told, stop your daydreaming, or stop thinking that way, or stop asking, or as my mom used to say, who the hell do you think you are? When I'd ask for something, like it was wrong to ask for something. How many of you had that experience when you were a child that it was wrong to ask for something, right? So when you're told that over and over again, no, don't have the money. You don't think money grows on trees, and you're told that over and over again, what happens is that goes into your subconscious mind, It becomes a part of who you are. But the good news is you can change that. You can change that. And I can absolutely show you how. When I think about the industry that I'm in, the industry of personal growth and personal development or professional development, and I incorporated my company in 1994, 30 years ago. There weren't a lot of businesses in this business. There weren't a lot of people doing what I was doing. There's a lot more now, and that's great. I look at it as a very positive thing. And some of you are in this business, I'm sure that you're in this business. I think it's a beautiful thing, people wanting to uplift others. But why is it that there's so many of them that are still struggling and not producing the results? Because they don't understand it inherently, like within their being. I want to help you get it so that it's consistent, so that it's permanent, so that you understand it, and so that you can not only teach it to others or help another, but you're a demonstration of it. That people just look at you and go like, oh my God, obviously they have it figured out because look at their life. That's what you want to be doing. Because when you recognize that power, like Neville Goddard was talking about earlier, your dreams take form as you assume the feeling of the reality. He said in this statement, he said that you've got the power. You have the power. Every one of us has this power to manifest our every desire, but you got to expect it. You got to expect to have these breakthroughs. Now, I want to dive a little bit deeper into our mind and how our mind was constructed and the way that our mind is, so that we really understand our mind. But I'm also going to teach you a perspective of understanding that even when you create the opening to accept more information, or perhaps to expand your understanding or your awareness, there's still going to be a resistance there. There's still going to be a hold on the old way of thinking. I want to help you break through that. I want to help you release that so that your opening is much wider and you're ready to receive what is rightfully yours, because it is rightfully yours. One of the statements that I have here on my desk is on this little wooden block that I had made, says, my success is absolutely guaranteed. My success is absolutely guaranteed. How many of you believe this for yourself? That your success is absolutely guaranteed? How many of you really believe it? Hey, Vladdy believes it. She's showing me her. Okay. Regina, yes. Okay. Tessia, yes. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. I do. Okay, good. Thank you for the honest answer. I appreciate it. And it's good to see the honest answers, because if the answer is no, you don't believe your success is absolutely guaranteed, let me ask you this question. Are you willing to believe that your success is absolutely guaranteed? Are you willing to believe it? Durango wrote, act as if it was impossible to fail. That's a Dorothea Brand quote. I love that quote. Thank you for writing it. Willing. Okay, you've got to be willing. Even if you don't believe your success is absolutely guaranteed, you have to be willing to believe that your success is absolutely guaranteed. When I first heard those words, my success is absolutely guaranteed, you know, it really caused me to pause for a moment and to think about that. And I want you to understand why it's true. It's true for everyone that's here. Absolutely every one of you, your success is guaranteed. So when you think about what you would love to have, do, be, or experience in your life, and you know that it's guaranteed, how does that feel? How's that feel for you? Feels good, right? Yeah, it feels really good. Oh, I love that. Amazing. Yes. All right. Amazing. Wonderful. Good. Okay. Yes, my success is absolutely guaranteed. Now, why is your success absolutely guaranteed? Because everything that you desire, I'm going to grab another book from my bookshelf here. Everything that you desire is, another one of my favorite books of Neville Goddard is Out of This World. Now, what is out of this world? This is what's called fourth dimensional thinking. What is fourth dimensional thinking? Fourth dimensional thinking is when it's not in your life right now. It's an imagined idea or an imagined thing. What we're doing right now on Zoom was at one time a fourth dimensional thought. The internet was once a fourth dimensional thought. The computer that I'm using, the one that you're using, the phone that you're using, whatever you're using to connect today was once a fourth dimensional thought. Someone thought it up, they went to work, and they created it. You see, you have the ability to manifest anything that you decide in your mind, anything, any goal. Now, I always add within the realms of nature, Like I can't defy gravity. I know that's not possible for me. So within the realms of nature, I can manifest anything that I desire. But if it's not manifesting in your life, it's because you're in your own way. But I'm going to help you get out of your own way. I'm going to help you unblock so that you get into the stream, into the flow of creating consistent manifestation after manifestation, because you have the ability to do that. So the reason why your success is absolutely guaranteed is because you're a powerful being. Everyone here is a powerful being. You can have it. You can do it. You can experience it. You can all do it. But you have to get in harmony with that. So what does that mean? It means you walk around feeling and thinking as the person that has already done it. Is that it, Peggy? Yeah, that's it. Why? Because you're working with the laws. You're working with the laws of the universe. Your desire is here. You get in harmony here. And when you're in harmony, you are attracting it. You're attracting it into your life. It will happen. Not maybe. It's like Henry David Thoreau said this. He said, when one advances confidently in the direction of their goals and endeavors to live the life that they have imagined, they will meet with success, unexpected and common hours. He didn't say maybe they'll meet with success. They will meet with success, unexpected and common hours. It's like that saying, what a man can think and believe, they can achieve, right? These are simple statements, very simple statements, but the practicality of it, the implementation of it is where humans struggle. And I want to help you understand it, because the more you understand it, the more you can apply the solution. So I'm going to help you understand it so that you get it and go like, oh my goodness, now I understand it, so that you can produce better results, consistently produce better results, which I know is what you would love, or you wouldn't be here with us today. So understanding is part of the key for transformation. And we get understanding how. How do we get the understanding? Through study, right? We've got to study. And as we study, and this is why I began to study in 1979, and I've never stopped, never looked back, have no intention to stop, is because your understanding will get deeper and wiser and more brilliant, and you'll get better at manifesting, get better and better and better, because your life can get better and better and better. So you've got to understand. The more you understand, the better it's going to go for you. And that is accomplished through study. What we're really talking about, and this is the foundation for everything that I do, this is why I created Club Achieve, this is why I created Skipping Levels, is the triad of transformation. You study, and you study to understand, but understanding isn't enough. You've got to apply. You've got to apply the wisdom. If you don't apply, you're not going to get the results. That's what Kayla was talking about earlier. She said, sometimes you have to kick yourself in the bum bum. Those were her words. That's action, right? You've got to be taking action. Action. Now, what is action? Okay, so let's use this as an example. When you think about something that you would love to have, let's use the example that we've been talking about throughout this last almost hour, this woman who is going from 0 to 50,000 to $1 million a year. And I said, you don't have to know how, right? Okay, so what action do you take if you don't know how? Here's action. You assume the feeling of earning $1 million a year, and you do it all day long. And you do things that put you into that harmony state, that harmonious state of feeling and believing that you're already there. That's application. Now, when you're in that state of feeling and knowing that this, your goal, is already done, you're going to get ideas. Everything requisite, think about this statement, everything requisite for the fulfillment of your goal will be attracted to you. Everything. That's Earl Nightingale. That was Bob Proctor's mentor, one of Bob Proctor's mentor. Everything requisite for the fulfillment of your goal will be attracted to you, provided you're in harmony with the outcome. You have to be feeling and acting as if it's already there. When you do, your success is absolutely guaranteed. And you got to be doing this over and over again. I think about Tiger Woods, who's a very well-known golfer, who practiced, like I watched a documentary on him. I think it was a 2-part documentary. It might have been on one of the channels on TV. I watched it with my husband. It was amazing. But anyone that you look at, any of these professional athletes, what do? They can play golf, and sure, they've won tournaments. They don't give up. They don't go back home and go, I got this figured out. so I have a tournament next weekend. I'll just show up and win again. Is that the way it works? No. You got to get better and better and better and better, get more consistent. So a professional athlete is going to go out and practice the same shot over and over and over again because they want to improve. They want to get better and they want to condition themselves, right? I remember one time when Bob Proctor and I were doing an event together, and he was experiencing some back pain, and it was quite significant. And he was having a hard time even moving. And we're sitting in the green room and he was about to go on. And I said to him, I said, Bob, just stay here, go back to your room. I'll deliver the next session. And he's like, nope, I'm doing it. And he went on stage and I went and sat in the meeting room to watch him. And as I was sitting in the meeting room, he's on stage and he's delivering it, delivering his webinar as Bob did with brilliance. I mean, he was magnificent. He was one of the most incredible speakers that I've ever seen in my life. And I'm watching him in awe because I know just a few minutes earlier, he was in the back room in excruciating pain. And when he was done, he got off the stage and I met him after and I said, how were you able to do that? I mean, it was miraculous how he did it. And he said, it's my paradigm. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, I know that when I get on stage, I deliver. And he said, I forgot all about the physical pain that was in my body. I just got up there and I delivered. That only happened because Bob Proctor constantly focused on improving what he was doing. We'd be flying to Los Angeles to deliver a weekend event, and he would be working on his slides and working on his slides and working on his slides. He was a wonderful mentor and friend. That's what I do. Now, if any of you, and I know we have some very familiar faces that are here, have been in any of my other webinars, the slide presentation that you're seeing today, brand new. I created this. I invested hours and hours and days getting ready for today for a free webinar. Why would I do it? Because I know the more I get this, the better I understand it, the more I can teach you and help you understand and apply and experience better results. And as I said earlier, it's my responsibility. I take this responsibility very seriously. There was a story of the golfer Lee Travino, who was one day, preparing for a tournament, and he got there early and he was practicing, pitching onto the green, and he was pitching his balls up on the green and just ball after ball after ball. And some of them went in the hole. And this woman was watching him and said, wow, you're lucky. You got some real lucky shots there. And Lee said, well, I have found that the more I practice, the luckier I get. And that's the same thing with success. The more you study, the more you apply, the luckier you get, right? There's no luck involved. We create it, right? That's what we do. We create our own luck. But here's the challenge. And I think this is important to understand: what to study, how do you understand, and what do you do? You see, when I was studying personal development over all those years, I would be sitting in the seminar room and I would hear the speakers say things like, you've got to have faith. I understand that. That makes sense to me. But I'm sitting there going, well, how do I get it? I know you don't go to a faith store and buy, I'll have an ounce of faith or a pound of faith. That's not the way it works, right? Okay, so I know you got to believe that this is already yours, but how do you do it? This is where I come in. I love to distill all these teachings down to such a simplistic understanding, but that you can apply it, right? You've got to apply it. Now, why I put this here is because I want you to understand that I'm not saying I got it all figured out, but after 45 years of study and constantly producing result after result after result, I know I can help you. There's no doubt in my mind that I can help you. And I've seen people out there that are claiming to be success coaches or, in this field, and yet their results aren't speaking to that fact. Now, I'm not saying they don't have the understanding. Maybe they do. They might have that understanding. I'm just saying that it's important to notice the results of others. It is important. You don't go to somebody who's poor and struggling financially to find out how to become wealthy. You don't go to somebody who has very, very poor health habits and they're overweight to find out how to get slim and toned and in great shape. You just don't, right? I know it's a very simplistic understanding. It's a very simplistic understanding, but you study success. And that's why I'm very particular about the books that I study or the people that I study, because I only want to study those that really have the depth of understanding. And I've already referenced Robert Collier and Neville Goddard. I've talked about Bob Proctor. They're all great mentors of mine and still are, even though none of them are on the planet today. They're not here today, but I'm here and I can help you. And my desire is to help you. So the power of a belief that is firmly planted in one's subconscious mind will also determine what you're taking in and what you're willing to see and what you're going to find, but you will attract everything that you need. Now, this is an image that I actually had AI create. And if any of you know me, you know I'm in love with AI. Yes, I know it scares some people. It does not scare me whatsoever. Yes, I know it's going to change our world, but I really believe that people need to get on the train to understand how it's going to positively impact the world. Will there be some negative impact? Yes, very likely. The law of polarity, there's good, there's bad. You know, it's the way it is. But AI is not going away. AI is not going away. So I had asked AI to create an image that would demonstrate when somebody has a belief that's so powerful that it's firmly planted in their subconscious mind, what would that look like? And this is the image that it came up with. So when we think about the comment that I made to my husband, Denis, many years ago when I said, I'm a money earning machine, that was something that is firmly planted in my subconscious mind through repetition. Through repetition of affirming that idea, of feeling that idea, thinking as that person, it became a reality for me. And that only occurs when you choose to let it in, when you choose to focus on what you desire with the anticipation, with the knowing that it's already there. You expect it. Expect to succeed. Expect to get the results that you want. Expect your business to grow. Expect people to buy your book. Expect whatever it is that you desire. Expect this year to be your best year ever, if that's something that you would love to experience. Because when you build that belief within you, everything that you're going to be seeing is going to be in harmony with that. You'll start to notice things a little differently. You'll start to discover things. You'll start to attract different people into your life. And everything that's required will be drawn to you as well. So you got to build the belief through space-time repetition. This is why I created the Power Life Script as a program and now available on iPhones as an application, because the Power Life Script is a process of building beliefs. That's what it is. You build the belief that you're already living the kind of life that you would love to be living, and you will attract everything that's necessary to do that. I started that back in the middle of the 90s when I made a decision to buy a house, and I didn't have any money to buy a house. Didn't have any money whatsoever, but I wanted the house, right? And when we think about what we've been talking about here with expect an abundance, I knew that my success was guaranteed. I knew that me having a house was absolutely guaranteed. What did I need to do? Get in harmony with it, right? See myself living in the house, feel the gratitude of owning that house and knowing that it is mine. Now, this is not something we do once in a while, as we know from Robert Collier, every hour, every day, every hour, every day, every hour, every day, every hour, every day, right? We're going to repeat it, repeat it, repeat it, repeat it, repeat it, repeat it until it becomes a part of who we are. Right? Because we are robotic beings. We're habitual beings. We will think habitually. Kayla mentioned that when we were starting our webinar today. We will think. We are. But that's good news. It's good news because you can condition yourself to think in a way that's going to be in harmony with what you desire. You can condition yourself to think in a way that you're only attracting what you desire. And so I knew that was what I needed to do. Application, right? The triad of transformation, study, understand, application. I had to apply. So I thought, okay, well, I know my mind's going to go off wandering. It's habitual. I'm going to go to that place of, what am I doing buying a house and I don't have any money? Are you nuts? Right? I knew that was going to happen. It's just the way we are, right? As human beings. So I also knew that in order for me to produce the result that I wanted, I had to impress that idea over and over and over and over and over and over and over again into my subconscious mind until it becomes a part of who I am. That's what I did with the Power Life Script. I wrote a detailed description. Now, it's very important that you write it effectively. If you're in skipping levels, I'll review it for you. If you're a private mentoring client of mine, I will review it for you. And I've seen a lot of Power Life Scripts come through our inbox where I can see somebody would put something like this, a little distinction that can just sabotage the whole thing. Here's an example. I one time saw a Power Life script where somebody said that they are no longer in debt. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that statement that they are no longer in debt? Anyone? What's wrong with that statement? Just type in the chat box. What's wrong with a statement when they're saying debt? Yeah, absolutely. They're focused on debt. It's negative. Yes. What are they going to get more of? Debt. All right. Or somebody says this. I'm going to give you a couple more examples. Yes, they're focused on lack. You're absolutely right. Here's another example where somebody says, I want to travel in a private plane. What's wrong with that one? What's wrong with that? It's a want. It's out of reach. Yeah, it's out there. What is the way to say that? What is the right way to say that? Yes, that's right. Yeah, I'm traveling. I am are the two most powerful words you can ever utter. I am. I am what? I am traveling in a private plane whenever I travel. You can say that if that's something that you want. Or another one, again, this is just a very subtle distinction, but I've seen this where somebody would say, I have the ability to travel when I want, where I want. Sure, we all do. Everybody has the ability, but are you doing it? Right? Is it active? Are you actually doing what you want to be doing? Are you experiencing what you desire to experience? Are you earning what you desire to earn? And if so, how does that feel? What is Neville's book called? Feeling is the secret. You have to feel it. You got to feel it. You got to embrace it. Now, in the beginning, it's going to feel uncomfortable. It will, because you haven't been feeling that way consistently. But when you consistently do it, it becomes your natural way of being. And as Neville Goddard also said in another one of his books, not this one, but somewhere in another one of his books, The Power of Awareness, he says this: the reason that people fail is because they don't feel it naturally. You see, I created the Power Life script to impress an idea or many ideas, build a belief system within me of the life that I desire, which I've been using now for 30 years consistently. I listened to it for 2 hours this morning. I've been doing that for 2 hours, hours and hours every day since 1995. Since 1995. I don't know anybody who's done that or anybody that's doing it, but there's not a lot of people that are reaping this success. Wayne Dyer, who was a client of mine, said it is not crowded along the extra mile. It's not. Why? Because of the common denominator of success. Do you know what it is? I'm sure many of you do know the common denominator of success is that successful people are willing to do the things that unsuccessful people aren't willing to do. What are successful people doing? They're investing in themselves. They're students. They're studying. They're understanding. They're applying. They're getting better. They're putting it into practice every single day. That's what successful people are doing. But a lot of people aren't willing to do it. And if you're not willing to do it, you won't reap the benefits. That's just the way it works. But there are a lot of benefits when you're willing to do the work. So if we look at our belief system, like if we look at this image and look at the left-hand side. So we've got a gentleman here with a lock on his mind. That's obviously a very closed mind, right? I am the way I am. It's just the way I am. And I've heard people say that. My mother used to say that. It's too late for me. Or people would ask me, is it too late for me? And I say, you're breathing, aren't you? Of course it's not too late for you. You got to open your mind. But, you know, when we look at the gentleman on the right-hand side with the lock that's just slightly opened, you just have to open it a little bit. Let it in. Let the beliefs in. Let these new ideas in. But they won't impregnate your consciousness until they're impressed over and over and over and over again. Repetition is how you change the beliefs. There's two known ways to change a belief. One is through an emotional impact. The second one is through repetition. Repetition is the one that I'm talking about here. Repetition is something we can all do. We can all experience. We can all choose to create. So how to stop self-sabotaging and allow your desires to come into your life? By opening your mind, by making a decision that you're going to build the belief system within you and you're going to expect to succeed. How many of you are on board with that? You're expecting to succeed. That's what you would absolutely love. Yes. Okay, good, good. How many of you are feeling a shift already just within the first hour that we've been here together? How many are feeling a shift? Okay, good. Excellent. Yeah, Tammy, I love it. Okay. Let's do the, let's get the gallery mode here so I can see everybody. You know, we were doing this before we start. Everybody raise your arms up in the air. Look up, put a smile on your face. Like just feel that energy coming in your body. Doesn't it feel good? Does that feel good? Yes. That's called a power move, right? And there have been studies that shown that when you do that with your physical body, it'll change the way you feel. Could you do that all day long? Yes. Could you walk around with your shoulders back and your head taller and just feeling really good that you're now earning the kind of money that you'd love to be earning? Yes, you could be doing that. I have a client that I was blessed to serve years ago, still working with her, and her desire is to become a Grammy Award-winning singer. And she's been focused on this outcome for a long time. And, you know, obviously I've been teaching her about the idea of act as if, believe as if, walk as if, go to the store as if that's who you are. Like hold yourself high, like see yourself as that. Just imagine that people are coming and wanting your autograph, and go into the grocery store with a baseball cap on, tie your hair back, put some glasses on so you have to disguise yourself because this time you don't want to be bothered. You just want to go get your groceries. I don't want all those fans coming up to me at this moment, right? It's a game. That's what we were talking about earlier. It's a game that we're all playing, but the game is a fun game and it's a rewarding game where everybody wins. Everybody wins. There's nobody who doesn't win in this equation. And that's what I want for all of you. I want you all to win. Now, I've got a few more slides, as you know, because I gave you my slides today, and then I'm going to bring on our guest speaker to share with you because I know just her own story and what she's been through and the things that she's manifested in her life are remarkable. And I know she's going to definitely add some value for you. And so really what you're doing is you're impressing this over and over and over again. And you do that. I study every day. I listen to my scripts every day. I do my guided meditation every day. I write my journal every day. I teach every day. I'm so madly in love with these materials, and I'm madly in love with them because they're our friend. And they're our good friend, our great companion, our greatest cheerleader. They're going to help you. They're going to serve you. And that's all they do is help. That's why the materials are so important to study over and over again. But you got to accept it into your consciousness. You can't look at outside results and say, I'd love to have that, and point to things, because you won't attract them. You got to accept them, expect them, accept and expect. You got to accept and expect your desires in your life and not see them as something that's outside of you. Accept them as your good. And if there's a part of you that's thinking, I don't really feel like I'm worthy of that, great that you notice it, because now you can build the belief that you are. You're absolutely deserving of that. The fact that you're here on this planet means you're deserving of that. It doesn't matter what happened in the past. You can change your life, and you can change it starting today for the better. But understand those paradigms, those belief systems that are within you, they're going to fight you. They will absolutely fight you. They will put up a battle, especially when you decide you're going to change. Now, I've been referencing this lady who applied for private mentoring, and that she had mentioned that she's earning between 0 and 50,000, but her desire is to earn $1 million. Well, when you start to think as if you are earning a different amount of money, in her case, $1 million, where previously she was not, the paradigms are going to fight you. Now, what are the paradigms? That's the old belief system. It will try and pull you back. Now, what's fascinating about these paradigms or these belief systems is that they're firmly placed in your subconscious mind. They'll always be a part of you. That's okay. Just accept it. It is what it is. We're going to harvest the good. We're going to forgive the rest. We're moving on. We're going to only impress into our mind from this day forward only those ideas, only those thoughts, only those images, only those words that are in harmony with what we desire. And anytime the paradigm puts up the fight, you're ready. You're ready to battle it. And how do you do it? You change your thinking. You change your feeling. My husband was watching a golf tournament on the weekend. I don't know which one it was. It was being played in Pebble Beach. I've played Pebble Beach, actually. I played twice at Pebble Beach. And he was watching this golf tournament, and the gentleman that was winning, and I don't remember his name, was being interviewed. I don't think the tournament was over, and I was probably working and didn't really notice, but I was walking by the room where Denny had the TV on, and it caught my attention because here's what the gentleman had said. He said that when he's on the field, and he was winning, he was in the #1 spot out of all the golfers. And I don't know how many golfers were on the field at the time, 84 or whatever the number is. And he was in the #1 spot. And he was asked if he looks at the leaderboard. And if he does it freak him out? Like if he looks at the leaderboard and he sees, oh my goodness, I'm in the #1 spot, and so is right behind me, and so is right behind him, and and looking at that. And he said, yeah, but he says, I don't get emotionally involved in it. I just focus. I focus on my game, and I focus on my shot. And then he was asked, well, what happens if you have a bad shot? Like, let's say you're leading and you're only leading by 1 stroke, and you tee off and your ball goes into the hazard or into the woods or whatever, do you lose your stuff, and just completely go off the rails? And he said, no, it's in the past. I just move forward. I'm focused on my game. And I thought, wow, like it's so rare to see that, but that is brilliant, because what he's doing is he's switching away from what is not going to serve him, and he switches over to an idea that will serve him. He doesn't go there. And he said that, and I thought, wow, that's brilliant. That's what I wrote about in my book, Your Destiny Switch. So these paradigms putting up the royal battle, they're like little voices that you hear in your head, and they're not always going to be good voices. We'll have the devil, we'll have the angel, right? The devil is going to be the negative, self-destructive, limiting beliefs going, you can't do that. Who do you think you are? You'll never do. You're not smart enough. You're not educated enough. You don't live in the right country. You're too old. You're too young. You're too whatever, right? You got to shut that voice down. You cannot listen to that voice. You got to listen to your cheerleader. You got to listen to your best friend. You got to listen to the voice that's telling you, yes, not only can you do it, it's done. It's guaranteed. Your success is absolutely guaranteed. You get to choose what you're going to listen to. I had a lot of negativity, a lot of darkness within me, and it took a long time to only be feeding my thoughts and my emotions with what I desired. It took a lot of discipline, but I'm so glad that I disciplined myself. That's what you must do. You must discipline yourself. And you continue by being in this study, by continuing to understand, and by apply, you're continuing to build and strengthen the belief, where it becomes so strong. Even if you do get knocked off track for a moment, you'll put yourself right back on track, because you know better, right? You know what you need to do, and so you do it. So you imagine yourself surrounded with abundance. Like, just think about that now. I want everyone to think about that. Okay, just close your eyes for a moment. Just close your eyes for a moment. And when you think about how you would love to be living your life, let's say you'd love to be living your life in opulence, in glamour, in class, in quality. You'll be living the way you'd love to be living. Maybe it is living in a beautiful dream home in a particular place, maybe looking out at the ocean. Maybe it is flying where you go in a private jet and having people recognizing you and wanting your autograph. Maybe it is looking at your financial statements and seeing millions upon millions or billions, if that's what you desire. Just imagine that for a moment, that's the way you're living your life. Wow, it feels so good, doesn't it? Yes. So you just did that in a moment by going there in your imagination, embracing it in your imagination, accepting it as your good, expecting it, that this is your life. This is the way you're destined to live your life. I want you to live that way every day, producing only desirable results in your life every day, where you are only expecting good. And how do you only expect good? By noticing what you're noticing, by shifting your thoughts when you're away from, when you're going down the road of destruction, and by choosing to embrace the experience in your consciousness now, not once in a while, but every hour, every day, every hour, every day. That's how you expect only good to show up into your life, every hour of every day. So how would your life change for the better if you had the right guidance to show you how to create your dream life? How would it change? Just imagine that for a moment. How would your life change? Type in the chat box how your life would change. When I think about this question, when I met Bob many years ago, or even when I kept going back again and again and again and again, like just being this such a serious student. My life just keeps changing for the better and changing for the better and changing for the better. First, it changed emotionally. It changed how I felt about myself, how I felt about life. Then it changed financially. Then it changed with relationships. Then it changed with the way I was living. Then it changed with the things that I was producing. So when you really think about how it could change your life in any way, or perhaps in every way, like being on track, changing for the better, producing better results. I love one of these answers. It's Susan. I would feel immense freedom. I love that. That's what people want. Thank you, Susan, for saying that. That's what people want. They want the freedom. They want the freedom to do what they want, when they want, with whoever they want, and how they want, right? Or investing more time, Geraldine says, with her family and grandchildren, of course. That's what we want. We want to be able to choose. We do have that choice to choose. But when we're living in abundance, that's how we're improving our life. We're improving how we feel, waking up every day, like the worries and the fears are vanishing. Yes, Ella, I love that. Yeah, gone. You've got married, peace of mind, for sure, peace of mind. This is what happens. And it can, freedom, time, purpose. Yeah, full of energy, Tammy. I love it. Yes. Let go of the fear. Totally. Yes. Yeah. Feel stronger because now you know you've got the option to choose. Absolutely. That's how your life will change and continue to change to get better. When we hear from our guest speaker, we're going to hear about that as well. Because really what we're talking about here is the truth of you, the truth about your potential, the truth about your power, the truth about what you can do and what you can create in your life. And when you know that you've got that power, that truth is the truth that's going to set you free. That's where you'll be experiencing the freedom. Pretty darn amazing, I would say. So abundance is what we're here to choose and what we're here to accept. Abundance of everything good in your life. So is today the day that you decide to choose abundance over scarcity? Is it? Yes. Is today the day that you decide, I'm really going to take charge of my life? Now, I know I saw the names of many of you that are here. Some of you are new to this, and we're grateful to have you here. Some of you have been students of mine for many, many years. Some of you are students that are already in our programs, in our annual All Access Pass. But have you really chosen? Have you made the choice to experience the abundance? Is it a choice? Yeah, it is. Is it as simple as deciding? Yes, it is. And then getting in harmony with what you desire. That's what you want to be doing. You get to choose the path you're going to go down. A lot of people aren't aware of this. A lot of people go through their life, as Bob used to say, they tiptoe their way through life, hoping they'll make it safely to death, and they will. Everybody's going in the same place to death. We'll all get there one day. Hopefully it's a long time in the future. But if you had a choice of a road that you could go down, and one was bleak and dark and potentially gloomy and doomy, or a beautiful, bright lit and sunny, warm, incredible, exceptional, sensational road, which one would you choose? It seems like the stupidest question ever, but a lot of people don't choose. They don't choose the path of abundance. They don't choose the path of luxury, of joy, of fulfillment, but you can choose it and you can have it. And remember, you don't have to know how, because you absolutely do not have to know how. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring on a guest that I asked to be a part of our event today. And I put this slide in here to remind me to bring her in, because sometimes I get off on a train of thought or get so deep into the teachings that I lose track of the time or where we're at. And I wanted to make sure that we had plenty of time to bring her on. And I think about the idea or a concept of taking your annual income and make it your monthly income. Now, earlier today, I was talking about a woman who filled in an application who declared that she is earning between 0 and 50,000 and she wants to go to $1 million. And I don't even know if she's here or on the call. Maybe she's here, maybe she isn't. I don't know that. And if she is, fine. And if she isn't, that's okay too. But I think about that as a concept. So her goal, let's assume she's earning 50,000 a year. Her goal is to go to $1 million a year. That's not 12 times, that's 20 times. Could it be done? Could someone actually take their income, their annual income, and have it become 20 times the next year? Could they earn 20 times what they earned the previous year? Or could someone take their annual income and make it their monthly income? Do you believe that's possible? Type in the chat box if you believe it's possible. I want to see, first of all, if you believe it's possible. Okay, good. I was expecting only yes answers to come in for that particular question because, yeah. Oh, all right, good. Some of you may have done it. I don't think a lot of you have done it, but it can be done. Absolutely can be done. Well, the individual that I'm bringing on now has done that. She is a lovely woman that I'm blessed to know, to call a friend, who has been not only into these materials for a long time, but somebody who demonstrates by her results. So let's give a warm welcome to Jacqueline McKenzie, who has joined us here today. Thank you, Jacqueline, for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I'm so happy that you're here. I asked Jacqueline to come on as a special guest because, number one, I have so much respect for her. Jacqueline had made a decision many years ago to make some changes in her life, which she did. And I know it wasn't always easy. And when we think about the information that we discussed today and what we talked about today, and one of the things that I said is, you know, even when you have the depth of understanding, you'll still go through challenges in your life. And Jacqueline and I both experienced a rather interesting health challenge 3 years ago that neither one of us knew that the other was going through. And we got on a call one day in August 2021, and we discovered that we're both up against a tremendous challenge, a wonderful obstacle, which we both came through. And we may talk a little bit about that a little bit later. But first, what I'd love for you to share, Jacqueline, is how was it that, like, what was it like in the beginning, your journey, when you decided to start studying these materials? And how did things shift for you in your life? And why did they shift for you in your life?
Yeah, I mean, it was a long time ago. I started like studying these materials, and there was a bit of a gap between when I started studying to when I first invested in myself and got a mentor. But I was at the place where, you know, I was working in corporate 9 to 5. I was a project manager for a large construction company, and, you know, working on multi-million-dollar projects, very stressful. And I remember my first son was born, and I was thinking, gosh, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep up this pace, and there's got to be more. I just felt like a gift to me was like being able to be a mom to my boys. And I remember when I first got into personal development, I started studying, and I'm starting to read and learn a lot about the concepts that Peggy was talking about. I was like, they really piqued, I guess, a lot of my curiosity, but I wasn't still in a place where I knew how to apply them. I was in that mindset of like, yeah, this sounds good. This is what I want. I'm like, I want this life. I want more abundance in my life. I mean, I was, you know, only earning, gosh, it was under $60,000 a year at that time. And that was a long time ago. But I wanted more for myself. I wanted more for my boys. And it wasn't until I took the first step and invested in myself, and it was the most money I've ever spent on myself ever. And it was a scary place because I'm so used, I don't know if there's anybody else on the call that does this, but like, I have no problem spending it on other people. But when it came to myself, I hesitated a lot. And even though I wanted these things, but that was when everything began to change. And I learned how to take these principles that Peggy teaches every day and learn how to actually apply them to me, my circumstance, what I wanted in life, but learning how to apply, but then learning how to do as well.
That's so good. You know, it reminds me of that statement that I heard years ago, is most people will spend more money on the outside of their head than on the inside of their head. Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, I go and get my hair done every 3 weeks, and it's like $200, you know, every 3 weeks. And I mean, a lot of people don't think anything of it. You and I were talking about that last evening. Like, it's not uncommon to go for a $300 or $400 hairdresser appointment, right? And but yet you know, and that's not lasting, because you're gonna have to go back, in a few days and get it done again. So I think that's really important. So what was it that really shifted your consciousness to go from, earning the kind of money that you were earning before as a project manager, which is, a respectable amount of money. I mean, you were a mom at the time, or you still are a mom, three sons. Jacqueline is a mom, a single mom of three wonderful young boys. And I know that for you, your children are your priority, right?
Yes.
There's no question. Are they a big part of your reason why?
Absolutely. It was, yeah, I mean, they're the reason why I want to do everything that I'm doing, back then and even today. And I think what made me want to make the shift was, when I started to learn these concepts, I realized I had such I thought I was always a positive thinker, and I thought I always thought big. But when I started to learn these concepts that Peggy teaches, I realized how limited my thinking really was. And I was in a place where I wasn't expecting abundance that Peggy was mentioning. I thought I wasn't. I was like, I had a bit of that poverty mindset. And when I started to delve into it, I realized, like, I was not taught to think in abundance. I was taught to think in poverty. Like, I watched my mom growing up. My sister and I, we didn't grow up with a whole lot. And so I realized, like, when you want something that, I think it was Bob who said this, like, when you want to achieve great success in your life, you need to find someone who's doing it and follow them, because they have a proven system that works. And that really, no one had ever taught me that. And so I latched onto that, and I started, like, studying these principles and understanding them, and, applying them to me and working on myself, and really developing my my abundance mindset as well.
So what happened when you found yourself, like, not thinking abundantly? So you made a decision to change your income and you got into this business, in fact. And did you have any struggles, any challenges? What went on?
Oh yeah, it was, yeah. And still to this, like, still to this day, something that Peggy's been saying over and over, the study is so important. And it's so easy to think that it and you can be like, oh, I've heard this before, or I know this already. And that is actually a trap as soon as you say that. And so it's so easy to get out of the study. And I have found that anytime I have fallen off course or I've gotten out of the study, my results have also gone backwards as well. And it's a great reminder to constantly being like, what the study does is it keeps you focused on where you want to go, what are you doing, who you are being, what type of energy you're bringing, and what are you putting out into the world. And something that Peggy always asks me, still to this day, she's like, what would you love? And she said multiple times throughout today's call, is like, what would you love? And it's you got to get into that mindset of, like, asking yourself that question of what do you love? But when you're surrounded by a community and a mentor who is constantly, like, speaking that language to you, you have no choice but to, like, absorb it. And it starts to become like your norm. And you start to think, like, well, what do I love? What do
Yeah.
I love in this world?
It's like you're programming yourself, right? You're conditioning yourself for success.
Mhm.
I love it. I love what you wrote in your book, The Profit of Profit, where, and I was alluding to that today because, one of the things that I remember, because I was working with you when you were writing that book, I think, did I write the foreword, or did I wrote the backward, the what do you call it? The afterword, and Bob
Yes.
wrote the foreword. That's the way we did it. We were sort of bookends for your book. But I remember you talking about that. This was such a profound understanding as well. And this is for anyone that's looking to increase their financial situation, because this is what you did. I remember that when you shifted your way of thinking from taking your annual income and having it be your monthly income, you began imagining that that's your income.
Mhm.
Like, you were earning 60,000 a month. Now I'm earning 60,000 a year. And okay, so what am I doing with my money? Or a month, I mean, what am I doing with my money?
Mhm.
And so you get involved with that emotionally. The name of her book is The Profit of Profit. The Profit of Profit. That's what it's called. I remember you're a little shy about that title in the beginning as well, or you and I were talking about it. We were on one of our calls together, and I remember you felt a little, uncomfortable with that. But, I think it's also important to understand that discomfort is part of growth.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think about you by nature, you're a shy person. I mean, people can tell you're shy. I consider myself shy as well. People don't always believe it when they see me in a webinar, but by nature, I'm shy. But when you're going for growth, when you're looking to create something you've never created before, you have to be willing to step outside of your comfort zone, right? It's it's just part of the process, right? Just deciding. Somebody had written in the chat box, and I love this. Elle wrote, spending on your personal development is spending on others. I love that. I absolutely love that. So true and so good. So Jacqueline, with the growth that you've experienced, with the study that you're involved with what you're doing, in the world and what you've accomplished and what you're continuing to accomplish, because I know there's so much more for you. How has it impacted your sons?
Oh my gosh, huge. I have 3 boys. I have an almost 20-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 11-year-old. And, it's been such a gift to be able to transfer this knowledge to them and watch how it's impacted their lives. And, it started, when I first started studying this, I started teaching it to them right away. And my son at the time, I think he was probably around, I want to say 12, like he was in grade 6, I think. So he was 11 or 12 years old. And I remember he was struggling in school, and he doesn't like when I tell this story, but he was really struggling in school. And he was, he'd come home and be like, I hate school, I hate math, and I'm not very good at it. And so like, I'm just learning all of this. And I remember, telling him like, Ryder, like you're telling yourself all the things that you don't want. So of course you're going to hate school. Of course you're not going to feel like you're good enough. And I remember his teacher brought his dad and I in to parent-teacher interviews, and they said, well, Ryder, he's not going to get it. He's always going to struggle in math. Well, then the mama bear comes out at me and like, nope, that's wrong. And so I started teaching him like how to use like the power of his mind, but then really how to shift like his perception and his image of himself. And he went from failing grades to getting A's in school, and still to this day he graduated with A's, and same with my other 2. And I watch how, even as he's 20 and he's graduated now and he's trying to figure out who he is, like he's like writing out goals and he's thinking about what he wants. He's like, well, Mom, he's like, my goal this month is to make this amount of money. And he's an entrepreneur, like he's got this entrepreneurial mind of, how like, making money mindset, basically.
I love that. That is so good. I think about, there's a poem. I was trying to see if I could find it quickly because I had sent it to one of my clients the other day. There's a poem that I read years ago, and I could probably look it up in a moment, but it was basically saying that there's little eyes, like when you're a parent, there's little eyes upon you night and day, and they're taking in everything that you say. And basically that you're their idol and they want to grow up one day to be just like you. They're watching, right? They're watching, they're observing. That's how we learn. Like that's how we learned as a kid. That's how our own paradigms became, in place. And so that's how our children learn. I know Vladdy is a mom as well. And, when I think about the study of these materials and getting into these materials, and I think about, your 2 children, Vladdy, Joshua and Elizabeth, and how this positively affects them as well. Have you noticed a positive impact with your children as well?
Yeah, I have. And it's, as Jacqueline's saying, they are great reminders, because if you're a role model, an example, now I get out of alignment as anyone else. And sometimes, well, my weak point is driving. I like fast drive. So if you're in a traffic and sitting, I can get out of alignment. And Elizabeth always sits back and she says, well, if you only imagine we're there all time, we'll be there, with this calm voice. And when you go like, oh, I'm the coach here, right? Or sometimes they just say, because they hear this all the time, and I drive a lot, so my phone is always switched on a Bluetooth and listening to all the materials. So they sometimes had enough, they said, can we just switch it off and put the music on? but it does go in all the time. And doing the little exercises with them, they find it fun. Like when we studied in 𝐶𝐽 with Peggy, the magic, it's actually Joseph Murphy's book. And there is a lesson, which one is it? The magic, the faith. Oh, it came out of my mind. And the chapter 3 is the magic box. So we created the magic box, and whatever they want, they actually put inside of the magic box, and it's got all these affirmations around it. And they really love exercises like that. So I think Jacqueline's right. It impacts them because they feel it's normal. And if they grow up in these materials as their normal, then they're great. They just in the great mindset on a high vibration.
You know, what we're really talking about, Vladdy, is also expectation. I mean, we're here to talk about expectations, right? Expect an abundance. And if your child thinks that if I write something down on a thing and put it in this magic box, that it's going to come to fruition, could that work? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Actually,
yeah.
it can.
They believe it, actually. And it's like Christmas. Isn't it? Kids are brilliant at this. We have all these doubts, which we, you know, like it entertains our mind or paradigms popping in. They don't. They just like, I'm going to have this. I'm going to write Santa. There is no way they think like, oh, what if the Santa doesn't bring it? It's just doesn't exist in their mind. It's like, done deal. Send the message, it's done. And somehow, and they always do get it. You know, like there was a part that was part of the electronic device I didn't want to buy. My sister did it buy for them. So they did get it. And the universe finds the way. And this works for everyone. You have a goal and you don't have to worry, like Peggy said, don't worry about how, because it will come. Most of the times it comes different way, not the one.
Exactly.
So as long as we expect it, it happens.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Vladdy. I'm so glad you mentioned it, because that is such an important part of understanding, you know, how it all works, because sometimes we assume it's going to come from a certain place or a certain way, and it does not always come that way. Unexpected. Like I think about even Jacqueline, when you were in business and when you got into your business on your own, probably wondering where the client's going to come from, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, you had set yourself up. And how did you manage that? How are you dealing with the, you know, the staying focused on expecting to be successful?
Exactly like what you've been talking about, like literally working on my own mindset. And instead of expecting, you know, people not to show up, expecting people to show up, when, you know, expecting to close the sale instead of expecting not to. And it's, you know, you're training yourself to like start paying attention to what's going on in your mind. Cause it's really easy to start like to expect the worst. Like think about what we're surrounded by every single day. We're constantly inundated with the worst case scenarios. And it takes like practice, as Peggy has been saying, to, you know, start to be cognizant of like what's going on in your mind and like training yourself, like how to think in a certain way. And it does take practice, and it takes constant like repetition, and, you know, being surrounded by the right people is really, really key.
I agree. Completely agree. You know, I think about what you're saying, Jacqueline, and thinking about how, you know, when we're in this environment, and thank you, Kayla, for coming in as well. Like we're surrounded by this environment, and, you know, we're, you know, constantly expanding our awareness and our understanding, et cetera. And it's just constantly feeding us. It's, you know, common denominator of success is that successful people are doing the things that unsuccessful people aren't doing, but it's not common. It's not common to see people who are thinking this way. Right. I brought Kayla on. For those of you that aren't aware, Kayla is my daughter-in-law, but she's also a very valued and cherished member of the team at Dynamic Destinies. And Kayla, I brought you on. I know we were talking about, like earlier, I was talking to Jacqueline. I didn't know where this was going to go today. It just sort of impromptu. But we're talking about the benefits for everyone, all of us, when we're in the study and we're applying and experiencing the positive results. And I know for you, like, I'm very blessed. Like, I just thank God that my son, you know, met this woman, because what a gift she is in my life. I mean, truly a great gift. And I think about how you came to a seminar of mine many, many years ago. I remember the very first seminar that you ever came to. You weren't raised with these materials either. No. So what's happened for you and your shift in consciousness since you started studying?
Okay. All right. So I met Peggy through my husband, Michelle, and Peggy was talking a little bit about what she did. And, you know, she was hosting the seminar in Ottawa, and she asked me if I wanted to attend. And I had no idea what I was walking into. But of course, I've always been a little bit of an optimist and a little bit of an outgoing person. I said, sure, I'll come. So I get to, I get to this event, and there's all these people in this room, and I don't know what to expect. And here Peggy is on stage, and I'm standing in the background, and she starts talking, and she's talking about her life, and she's talking about how she lived in a very negative, a very destructive environment growing up. And you know, she met Bob Proctor. She went to this seminar. She had no desire to be there. And it changed her life in so many ways. Like I can't, there's not even enough time today to really describe in how many ways this has shifted her life. And she stood there talking about, you know, going into this house and sitting in this bathtub and envisioning the desires she had and only living in the present and having it now. And she talks about these things. And I'm sitting there like, more, give me more. Like I had no idea that this even existed. Manifestation. I had no idea that you could be abundant. My parents were not wealthy. They had no money, and they live in a very negative mindset with money. They see money as a negative thing. They repel it. If you're rich, you're, you know, not a good person. Those were the paradigms instilled in my brain, telling me, you know, Kayla, if you become rich and successful, people aren't going to like you. So I always kind of veered away from it, like tried to repel it, because I had no desire not to be liked. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to be liked. And so I go to this seminar, and then I just like glue was like, Peggy, teach me more. What can you teach me? What can you tell me? And these things started happening in my life as I started applying them. So then I started getting books, and, you know, I'd go into Peggy's office, and she had all these books, and she goes, you know, I wrote these. And I was like, oh, well, can I have them? You know, and she'd give me the books to study, and I would study them, and I would start applying them. And then I would attend any of her events. I asked her if I could travel with her and go to, you know, some of Bob Proctor's events. I'll never forget the time that we went to LA and I attended my first Bob Proctor event. And of course, with Peggy, we sat front row. So we're front row at Bob Proctor's event, and he's talking about these paradigm shifts. And I think we were in the room for 7 hours, and I had no desire to leave the room. Like when the event was done, I think I wanted to glue myself to the chair, and I was like, I don't want to leave. I want to continue learning. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, because like all of you, we have these limiting beliefs, and you will not see a change in your life until you fully decide and make an actionable decision to abolish them and move forward with a different version of yourself. It will not happen. Like, this is the reality of what it is. And it wasn't until I decided, and this was maybe, you know, I listened to the material, I understood it, I started learning it, but I wasn't applying it. I wasn't actually applying the knowledge, okay? And that's to all of you here today. This is so important. You must apply the knowledge, okay? You must apply these techniques. You have to feel them. They have to come out of you. It can't just be, you know, oh, I learned this, and then the next day you're off of it. And it was when I started to apply them that major things started happening in my life. And I'm not, believe it or not, I am a healthy person, but I was diagnosed with a very rare genetic disease. And this genetic disease attacks my body every single day of my life. I have no control of it. There is no cure. This is a disease that is with me until the day that I die, and I refuse to allow it to define me. But when I got my diagnosis, it was like a prison came over me, and I felt engulfed in it. There was no escape. They told you, you have this disease. It's not going anywhere. It'll take your life unless you get treatment. And with these treatments, it's every 2 weeks. So I was a person who wanted to travel. I wanted to go across the world. And to me, this felt like a prison. It was like, what do you mean? I have to be here every 2 weeks for treatment? I don't want that. I don't want that. And then the treatment hurt. It was painful in the beginning. My body had to adjust to it. And that's just like this. This is just like manifestation. In the beginning, it can be painful. It can feel unnatural. It can feel unwanting because you're not used to it. And
That's
as
it.
my body started getting more and more treatment, the more I became adjusted, the more things got better for me. My health got better. My body got better. My mind opened up. I didn't have fog anymore. And then I started taking Peggy's techniques and applying them. And she told me that you need to see yourself every day as healthy. And so I started writing in my journal every single day. Today, I'm so happy and grateful that I am the most healthiest person I have ever been. My body feels amazing. I feel good. And you know what, guys? I feel good every single day. There
I
isn't a
forgot
day
you
that I
even
wake
have
up.
that.
Yeah.
I totally forget because you don't live as if you do. I think it's important to understand what Kayla is saying here is she was given a diagnosis. She's respectful of it and gets her treatments every 2 weeks, but she said it does not define me. I think that's very important. And I think the same thing with Jacqueline and I were talking about this last evening, about when people go through challenging financial times, don't let it define you. Kayla, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. I want to come back to Jacqueline as well, and I'm going to address some questions because I'm seeing some questions come in on the right-hand side. So we'd love to have your questions. So please type them in. We're going to get to them. Jacqueline, I want to go back to when you were a project manager. You left that business, you got into this business, the business that I'm in. You started doing coaching with people. You worked with the Proctor Gallagher organization. You're not doing that anymore, but you were a TIR consultant, which was brand new for you. You had never done this before. You'd never been in business for yourself before. You're a young mom and became a single young mom with 3 boys. And you went out and you took your annual income and made it your monthly income. So somebody was typing in here that they wanted to hear a little bit more about your transformation, So what happened for you that you transformed well, in that particular case, your life, but your finances? Let's talk about the financial side of it. What really transformed, made the difference for you for that particular transformation?
Yeah, I mean, it was it was the way it had to start. I had to change how I thought about it. I had to change my mindset from going from, limiting, lack of money, start looking at money differently. And instead, I was be thinking, oh gosh, money is so hard to earn.
Right.
And it was like all these thoughts I had towards money. I had to go and reprogram my mind and learn how, what abundance meant and what abundance meant for me, and had to learn how to think okay, well, money isn't hard to earn. Money is everywhere. Money is energy. I had to learn the concepts and the spiritual side of money in order, first of all, that was the starting place, but then learning how to take that and apply it to myself and then to my business. And so, when I started to think differently, I saw a transformation in myself because I carried myself differently. My self-image changed, everything changed. I felt better. I felt confident. I felt like I was in more control. I didn't feel like I felt like I was worthy of all the things that I wanted to create in my life instead of feeling not worthy. And when I made that shift, that's when everything started to transform. And I've gone through that multiple times in my life because we're always growing, we're always evolving. There's always that next level of being, that next income level to reach. And gosh, when you learn these concepts and you learn them and you keep practicing them and you keep evolving and you keep growing to that next level, whatever that, I mean, once, Kayla said it earlier, is, you make that decision on what that level is for you, what that is for you.
I think there's something significant that you said, Jacqueline, that I really wanted to point out for everybody is this. It could be just one idea, one thought that can make a radical shift. So what did Jacqueline say? She decided she was worthy of abundance. That could be it. It could be the thing. Like somebody had asked, one of the questions that I saw flash by a little earlier is, how do you know what the blocks are? How do you know what the blocks are? Sometimes you don't know what the blocks are. Sometimes you don't. And it's not necessary that you have to understand, where are all my blocks? I gotta, we gotta do an x-ray of this physical body to find out what the block is, right? I think it's not that complicated. It's not that I can tell from having a conversation with somebody where their blocks are, but just look at your results. If you're not experiencing the amount of money that you'd love to have in your life, there's a block, right? It's not rocket science here. So if there's a block there, we don't judge it. We don't need to analyze it. And I say that word, specifically like that. We don't need to analyze it. We just need to understand we can have more. Okay, so if I look at the results and they're not the way, there might be a belief. Maybe it's just a belief that I can. Maybe it's a belief that it's already there, right? That I'm healthy. I look around this square here that we have the four of us here, and all of us have had physical challenges. Kayla shared her physical challenge, her diagnosis with an incurable disease that, she will have for the rest of her life and has treatment every 2 weeks. Vladdy had a health scare, just a few years ago. Jacqueline and I had a pretty serious health scare 3 years ago where she had two, not one, but 2 brain tumors. And I had metastatic cancer that had spread. You don't want to hear those diagnoses, right? Jacqueline was having severe headaches, like bad headaches. She's like, something's wrong. She finally got a diagnosis. There's tumors there. She had to go in for brain surgery. And I don't know how many of you have had brain surgery, but they keep you awake while they do brain surgery. That's scary enough on its own. I remember talking to her hours before she was going in for her surgery. And we were really there for each other during that challenging time. Like we know enough on how to stay focused on a healthy body and only see the desired results that we want. Vladdy went through a similar experience to that as well. So why I mention that is that the truth is that these teachings, when I think about, just us being here and Roddy too, what Roddy has gone through just in 3 short years, having multiple properties and the kind of lifestyle that he's now living, and it impacts every area of your life, every single area of your life. There's not an area that impacts you financially. It impacts you with your relationships. Like I think about my husband, like I often will say, I won the lottery. I won the lottery because I attracted this man into my life. It's like the best lottery win ever. I was telling Jacqueline last night, if somebody came to me and said, I'll give you $1 billion, but we're going to take your husband. It's like, no way. There's no price you can put on my marriage, on my relationship with my husband. No price you can put on that. But I manifested that. I manifested using the techniques. I manifested everything in my life, my business, my success, the Academy Award, the millions that are sitting on my shelf, the New York Times bestsellers. I manifested Kayla into my life, my wonderful grandchildren that I'm so blessed to have in my life. Like you can manifest anything and everything. You just have to, the triad of transformation. Remember what it was? What's the triad of transformation? What is it? Type it in the chat box. Somebody type it in the chat box. Just going to see. Well, of course, you have your notes. Study. Yes. Number 1, understand, apply. Thank you, Heidi. Heidi put it in there. Study, understand, apply. Absolutely. Now we can help you. We can serve you. Roddy put a link in here to book an appointment with Vladdy. Vladdy loves serving people. She loves the materials. They positively changed her life. We've got a variety of ways that we can help you. In fact, Jacqueline was asking me yesterday about everything that we're doing, all the different ways that we're helping people, from our Club Achieve program, which is our study class, to our Skipping Levels program, to MSIs, creating MSIs online, to writing a book, the Epitome Author program, to Manifest Your Dream Home, to Money Marathon. I mean, we've got so many different ways that we can help, but we want to understand what you want. What would you love? What would you love to create in your life? And then book a call with Vladdy, no cost to do it. But here's what I want to say, and I know I've said this before. If you book a call with Vladdy, please show up. Vladdy's a mom. Yes, she's part of Dynamic Destiny's team, but if she books a call, she'll be there. She will be there. She's going to block off the time. She's going to be there. Let's be respectful of Vladdy and show up. If you can't make the call, that's fine. Let her know. She's happy to reschedule. No problem whatsoever. So there's a number of ways that we would love to serve you in the many things that we do. So does anyone have any questions, Roddy? Have I missed any questions? And this is Roddy, by the way. He is our glue. Roddy keeps it all together for all of us. Will you guys see the email reminders that go out, the workbook that was posted for you, the replay page? He's behind the scenes. It's late for him. He's in Scotland. I know a lot of people love to hear Roddy speak. Speak, Roddy.
Thank you, Peggy. No, thank you. It was a great session. Really appreciate everybody for joining us. And yeah, just like Peggy said, book the free call with Vladdy. It's totally free. There's no pressure or anything to buy anything. If that's one of your paradigms, Vladdy is here to serve along with everybody in our team. You can easily drop me an email anytime, but best process, book a call with Vladdy. And you know, it's early February now. I'm pretty certain, I know for a fact, that if you want to change your life for the better, we can be in a very short space of time. This can really work for you, but you've really got to want it. I think that's the key thing.
Yeah.
So make the starting
right.
point and book your call with Vladdy, and we'll work out a strategy and a plan for you that I know is gonna work for you.
You know, I love what Tammy wrote. Thank you, Roddy. I love what Tammy wrote in the chat box. She says, what's the best way to not think about the how? What a great question that is, isn't it, guys? What's the best way to not think about the how? The best way to not think about the how is go to the place of assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Now that it's in your life, how do I feel? So you're going to the end, right? It's Neville Goddard says you think from your goal, not of the goal. If you're thinking of the goal, like, oh, I'd really love to have this, then you're not in harmony. You're not aligned. But if you're thinking as if you already have it, you know you don't have to worry about the how. It's already done. But where is it done? It's done in consciousness. So you bring it into your heart. You know, I showed this a little earlier, Tammy, and I mentioned that it's a wooden block. We'll have 4 things on each side. This is one of them. Now that my dream is fulfilled, how do I feel? Now that my dream is fulfilled. There we go. Vladdy has it. Oh, good. Roddy has it. I know Kayla has one too. And Jacqueline, if you don't have one, I can hook you up for sure. But if we think about this, you know, the how, like when we know that it's already done, there's a I wrote a book called 21 Distinctions of Wealth. I've written 23 of them, but in that book, one of the distinctions of wealth is infinite patience produces immediate results. What does that mean? Infinite patience produces immediate results. This was something that I learned from Wayne Dyer. And what it essentially means is this, like when you think about something that you would love and you imagine that it's in your life right now, you're in harmony with it, right? You're feeling it. There's no desire for it. There's no want. There's none of this, oh, I'd really love to have it, because you're there, right? You've gone there in consciousness, right? You're feeling it now. So there's no impatience. You're just know that it's already done. That's an expectation that's at a conviction level. This is the point of conviction. The point of conviction is where you know in your heart it is already done. And if any of you don't already have that point of conviction in your heart right now that it is already done, you can get there by impressing and impressing and impressing it over and over again. So if it means, as we heard from Robert Collier every hour, every day, that we are asking ourselves that question, now that this is in my life, how do I feel? Now that it's in my life, how do I feel? And you're doing it all day long, every day, all day long, you will get to a point where it's going to show up, because you know, you absolutely will. You'll have that sense of knowing. That's how you build it. It's a process. It really is a process. Yeah. Okay, Roddy, I think we're 3 minutes to the top of the hour. What perfect timing is that? Well, I really want to thank everyone for being with us today. It's always a pleasure to serve you. Book the appointment with Vladdy. Take a look on our website as well. See what we have. We are not pushy salespeople. That is not what we do. As you can probably already tell, we are here to serve. We'd love to work with you further. We'd love to help you manifest anything that it is that's in your heart that you'd love to desire. So get that appointment with Vladdy. Where do you find the guide, the workbook? It is on the page where you came to access the class today, right, Roddy? It's right there. And it'll be on the replay page too.
Yep, as soon as this class finishes, it'll be uploaded to Vimeo, and once that's done its thing, it will be sent out to you. It should be at peggymccall.com/replay. It will be, but it's not quite there yet.
Not there yet. We haven't
uploaded.
finished.
Yeah.
And Kayla just put the link in there for the guidebook. Thank you, Kayla. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. So you can definitely go through the guidebook. You'll be able to watch this again, and I absolutely suggest that you do. All right, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you, Vladdy. Thank you, Kayla. Thank you, Roddy. I really appreciate you guys. Appreciate everyone being here today. Thank you so much.